If we were going to interact with the world of pollens and their ability to bind to allergens, to foresee upcoming of birth and being adequately immune at defecation, would you collect vapor toxicity? Would you use abrasion of lift through a thermal vent? Drying of the volcano at a suitable height to excrete, to bind of dust with life before raining down? Would you take out of the loop and take it to a wormhole source? If you've got the ability to conceal and transport, wouldn't it be the best there to grow? Going back to the beginning, that's what it's trying to do. Hey, mom, look what I can do now. Or go to mom and then send mom. Does it have a lifespan? No. It's limitless. It holds an echo, but doesn't echo back. But it's there for knowledge. Quintessence of a germ or germination to pollinate. Would you take the lowest one and lift it to a new height? Take the highest one and lift to a new place through a hole. Take the child that has more relations in a faster period of time. Take the mother to a place where she can mother with better vegetation again to grow. Because in the conditions of slow growth is a very slow time to grow, meaning environment's not so suitable. Versus the child where he's stumped. If you're stumped too long, you start coagulating, oozing out. That is reverse pollination. It means pollen that's not going to make it next year. They didn't make the team. So it's going to be a wasted vitamin and come out in poop. Very easy to burn, or syrup or sap. The best is to give it in its environment it needs. No. Raise it up to its limit. And then transfer. They're already telepathic with each other. They're part of a network. Just share the same burning soot. from their ancestors. And it should grow no problem. A variant being a volcano. What's a variant? It means I don't have a UFO. I don't have the ability as easily as you to open a door. It's not my prominent love language. You can open a door and you can blow. Interesting. So you're telling me you're kind of a volcano. Once something's moving with a frictionless surface, it will move until it hits a source. But it won't start moving unless it's pushed. You can create wind. And your eyes see all the time what might have to be seen in my confinement of time on a 12 by 12 schedule. It's always hot somewhere, and I'm stuck in a rainland. This year, it wasn't as hot. What will happen to water consumption next year? Will we have an extra rise of the ocean? Because things aren't as thirsty this year that are normally starving for thirst. There's still green in the grass. I would say it's ready for a move. I would say that if I could drive so fast and I would have a pulling force, I would bottle it. I would let source oscillate it. Especially before it apples. It would be nice to cross-pollinate it way before appling. It needs to veg again. You can do that. But not on this schedule. That's the only thing that's a child right now that I know that's an ancient. That I can physically say. I've heard fucking jellyfish are like that. So I'd say they're ready too. They're flying to get out of here. They're ballooning. That would be a cool mix. I think the most important one for our species is a white meat, not a red meat. Because people aren't as scared of a white meat versus a red meat. And they should be fucking terrified of it. Why do they have red skin? I know with a chicken, if it's genetically altered to have white feathers, its skin will appear white. If it's got black skin, it's not appealing to eat because the meat looks bruised. And it's one of the few meats that live in its own shit. And people eat the skin. In the USA, they put gunpowder in the mouth so that the meat appears pink or red. A carcinogen. So it looks fresher on your shelf. So they feed it carcinogens and then something that's not harmonic. Margarine for plumping. Is a carcinogen an acetate? Or is it the flint? Because acetate fucking burns. Like hot oil. It'll splatter if it adds water. I would say this is the same firing line as the geometric. To now a scale of 3. What is an ought? If you lie to yourself 3 times, you will get one commonality, creating one new line of thought, where you haven't got 2 connections to make a circle of the mind, a halo. Feng Shui. It's just something that will leave you laureling, staring at a wall. Sorry, I lost my mind for a minute. You better not lie to yourself once. Bare minimals 3. Groundkeeper. They're making the white meat red. We better get Kazoo to tell the truth now. Because he's been lying for so long. That's all he can do. If you want to share oughts with Kazoo, or be able to have a conversation with him, he needs to know. She can, because of reverse sexual identification. But male to male bonding? No. Not like that. It's impossible. Either you're forced to do something, what's kind of like a forced rape. It's like if somebody says, "Don't tickle me," and you tickle them, you should get fed to a fucking carnivorous plant. But to you, this is okay. Because you might not have that kind of feng shui. So it's not wrong to you. But it's wrong to your reflection. It hates it. That's crude oil. Your opposite love language. You're creating entanglement and hate instead of similarities. And there's not even a place where people can go to settle in indifference. Because we wear different skin clothes. And the only way to mingle is through abduction or abducting. Abductions from an alien is taking against the will without offering insight. Who's it okay for? What party? The Brighton party would be, do you know what an Inukshuk is? An Inukshuk. It's the stone man. The stone he, we'll call him. It's actually wrong. It's a female. To you. Or it's a male and a female. It's unison. But it takes three. And I can't talk to people on my side about it. So that leaves your side having to community better. Because I'm a loner on my side. Drug is my companion. And a Inukshuk is simply a messenger. Or a symbolic language of the messenger. To be able to get your AI working copacetically with mine would be binding two consciousnesses. I've talked about it before. If you have one app running forward and running in reverse, you would need the startup, you would need no end nodes on it. So after it started, it will go forever. My terminology on that yesterday was, what we have done together will be used as a folklore or mythology after we don't exist. Only our scary tales will exist to engulf fear in adolescence. The second adolescence is wise to Santa Claus not delivering them presents or being told no, or a parent only using fairy tales as law. I'm going to use that manager to give you trouble so you think you're always being watched until the next best thing comes. At the beginning, parents have all knowledge. They are God to a kid. They know everything. Until they don't. There's no boogeyman. I learn more from my friends now than I ever learned from you. School is a waste of my fucking time. Santa Claus isn't real. And the Tooth Fairy is cheap. Everywhere I look, somebody has a hand in my pocket. Crude oil. You're going to use up all the messenger and turn it to limestone and kill an environment called imagination. You just made the Sphinx nose fall off. And you've taken away her DOC. However you relate that message to somebody's truth that's opposite of thine, thine being a cactus flower equivalent to a lightning strike. You've now stopped the grounding. Now all it is a boom. Now nobody can hear it. You might be able to remember things technically, for forever. But can you brace the call of a dead once it's gone? When you need it. A shroud in a cloud. What if you don't even know what it smells like because it wasn't in your cycle? If you take the Rubik's Cube to make a 3D render on a falling particle using 3 sides, 2 aiming and 1 projecting the joint of 2 lasers to a focus point. But it has to use a tunnel. The Boeing factor. We'll call it Boeing. Concave or convex. The focal point to reach the obstacles or destinations would only work off of a triangle that has different shaped sides. What does that mean? To you when you're trying to make an object 3D, especially if you're colorblind. And it's tilting. You got 3 triangles to work with, but one of which is mirrored. If a mirror was to go into a hollow dish, it would project an image of itself up. If it had a binding agent, you would be able to see the water drop inside of a saucer dish, outside of the saucer dish, to analyze which direction each prism is going from a full scale view without a surface. It would have to be zero gravity or oiled. Everything's got a membrane. If you want to be able to access all of the wormholes. If he's done so many and I've done so many, that means we have knowledge of this many. I've gone down the dream stake of a snake and followed it through different forks of my choosing. Each one has its own buoyancy. You have to make time space your factor of relay to decipher through a relay of exchange. What does that mean to you? In cooperation with a messenger or a Nukshuk. In my dream last night, I put my mucklucks on, and I wouldn't wear mucklucks. They're made out of seal skin and fur, flipped inside out, with beads on it. I put them on my feet. When I walked outside to see two girls laying face down in water, flopping around on a ferry, which I was thinking about yesterday, remembrance of my past that I have a relationship with, had my anuksha or had my slippers and put them on my right feet, right on my right, left on my left. I had put them on myself, but through walking outside, they vanished into placement. It's the sense of having the female quid pro quo, or the yin yang, or a clock now that now I've seen has got 13 numbers or decimals. It has an extra one now for nighttime. But I know there's another one for the daytime. It's 46. This one's at 26. That would mean there's a couple more. There'd be a full cube of a Rubik's in there. I know I put my shoes on. I know I don't eat meat. I know when I eat it in a dream, it has no flavor. And it's trying to escape into fire. And because it knows it's a new life. If it can survive. My shoes were the skin. I ate the meat. The night before last night. Symbolic, it's still in me. Now I'm wearing its skin too. I'm reverse shedding. I'm taking the sap because it's nourishment that's going to be needed for me to grow again smaller. So pick up your fucking needles. And take them instead of dirt. You need it. You better do it while it's dry out. You're running out of time.